Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Conte, and I'm the host of the Sweet Success podcast. I'm here with Erica Wilson and Taylar Posey. Erica's a therapist at the Olive Branch Counseling Center, and Taylar is a life coach at 4031 Life Coaching and Consulting right here in Alabaster, Alabama. These girls are going to help us with a little practical help, hope, real situations. We're going to talk all things mental health. And today we're going to start with something that I think is very appropriate. The holidays are coming up.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, we're in Alabama. It should be getting cold here. It's not at the moment, but it is definitely dark. And when the time changes, the seasons change, I feel like things change mentally for us as well. So talk to us about what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so seasonal depression, which is a lot of people just kind of throw it around and not think it's a real thing, but it is a very real thing. Mm-hmm. Some people actually get it not just in the winter months, but can also get it in the fall or even spring, summer. It really is our mood changes with the season.
Okay. So it's not just like, hey, it's getting dark sooner, so now I'm sad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But you do hear of it more often this time of year because it does get dark sooner, and more so with adults that have lots of responsibilities. They're going to different Christmas parties. They may have lost a loved one, and this brings back sad memories, or they're having to host parties and go shopping and do all the things that they're not really wanting to do or feeling up to doing. So there's a lot of things that need to be said around like what seasonal depression actually is, and for people to actually acknowledge that it is real when they do wonder, why do I feel a little more down this month? And it is research shows that it actually lasts like 3 months. Like it's like a 3-month span.
Okay.
So anywhere from like December to February or March, and then all of a sudden they feel good again, but it comes back around each year. Mm-hmm.
So what do you think would be the cause then if that's something that they're dealing with during the cold, the dark, the winter months? Well, what about others? What can cause that during other seasons of life?
Yeah, so one thing, I did want to kind of go back to one thing Erica said, just when it does get dark and when the seasons are changing and it gets a little bit colder, if you do some research, you'll see that a lot of northern states, like especially in Seattle where it's rainy and dark all the time, unfortunately they have a higher rate for depression and suicide because they're not able to really get out as much. They're not able to, sunlight provides vitamin D, and it does allow you to get outside and just be active, whether you enjoy doing that or not. If you notice, even just within yourself, if it's a rainy day, you might feel more tired or sleepy and you just want to stay in and not do much. But when it's pretty outside, you might want to go out and do something. But yeah, so I guess to answer your question, just even in other months where it's not cold or rainy and it's not getting dark out, kind of like Erica said, there could be triggers with anything. If, you had a loved one pass away in the spring or the summer, that season might be your season of depression.
Right.
But it just kind of depends on, things that have maybe happened in your life. And those memories get brought back up no matter what time of year it is.
Yeah.
So.
And that makes total sense. I guess I would never have thought of it as seasonal any season, right? But it totally can be depending upon your circumstances. This is kind of random, but kind of not. We were at the Space and Rocket Center recently, and there's a UV light in the place where they sleep, and my husband was like, they need sunlight, and I related it back to feeling depressed in these times. They need that, right?
Yeah. So a lot of seasonal depression comes with the ability to be grounded, whether that is getting outside, putting your feet in the grass, taking a deep deep breath of fresh air. In the winter months, a lot of times we can't just do that. And that's what makes seasonal depression seem as though it only is winter months. But there are quite a few people and quite a few clients that I know that the summer brings them sadness. And like Taylar was saying, whatever they have matched within their life of what has happened around that time. Maybe it is, like I said earlier, a passing of a loved one at that certain time of year, or a birthday of that certain time of year. There is no really rhyme or reason to it, or an actual diagnosis to it. It all falls under the depressive disorder diagnosis. But it's seasonal depression when all of a sudden they say, well, listen, it only lasts like 3 months and then I feel fine.
Okay, so if that is something that we're struggling with, what do we do? I mean, practically, what do we do? Right. Especially if it is something that's not continual. It's not a continual thing. Mm-mm. What do we do? How can we combat that?
Definitely to recognize it and be okay. I mean, it's okay to feel that way, but also, and one thing I tell my clients is, you can only control so much. So if you know that during the holidays, that's when you feel the most overwhelmed and the most depressed, okay, you might not be able to change that 10 years ago you had a loved one die, but if you know that season of life is hard for you, maybe you don't offer to host all of the holiday things. Maybe you don't have to go to every party. I had a couple of clients throughout this past week that said, oh, I'm just so stressed out, it's the holidays. But I stopped them and I said, yeah, it is the holidays, but why are you stressed? Like it shouldn't go... it shouldn't coincide with, oh, it's the holidays, I'm stressed. Right. So what about your holiday routine is making you feel stressed? So let's just don't accept it like, oh, this is just going to be normal till the day I die. It's Christmas time, I'm going to be stressed out. It doesn't have to be that way. So I think recognizing it is key. Like, what can you do differently so that you don't feel so overwhelmed? Maybe you're not hosting everything. Maybe you're not going to every party. Especially if during this time of the year you're already overwhelmed, but maybe you did have the passing of a loved one during this time. So maybe you need to just take time to just relax, and it's okay to tell people like, you know what, I'm not going to be able to make that party this year. Or can we do Christmas at somebody else's house this year? So I think just taking things off of your plate, because you don't have to do any of it. I mean, right. you don't have to buy a million gifts for people. You don't have to have the ugly Christmas sweater party. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of what can I take off of my plate, knowing that this time of year is so stressful. What can I say no to?
Yeah, I think just speaking of what she's talking about too, going ahead and acknowledging your season that causes you to feel this sadness, acknowledging it and preparing for it, I think is key. Not sitting in it and accepting the fact, okay, this is my 3 months to be sad. It's just that way. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, because people are very different. Everybody's depression symptoms are different. I think the only thing you can compare it to is when someone says that they understand, it may be that they understand the experience, but they don't understand your experience. So preparing yourself for it and saying, okay, here comes my season of where I feel a little sadness, or maybe it is major sadness and full-blown depression. Preparing yourself for it and going ahead and knowing, okay, this isn't going to last. And if you need in that time, if you know how to manage it, whether you are really good at your coping skills, you are really good at setting your boundaries of saying, no, I'm not going to host this, or I'm not going to do a lot of things around this time of year because I know I'm already overwhelmed. It really is a chemical imbalance that's happening for whatever reason, and we just tend to talk more about it during the winter months because of the sun going down earlier. People tend to just isolate themselves during whatever season they're going through to cope with it, and having someone to talk to about it and normalizing it really is what we need to do. But if you're good at coping with it and you're good at talking to other people and other people already know that about you, it's not this big secret. But there's so many people that just feel like seasonal depression isn't real and they shouldn't talk about it, and they think to themselves, well, it only lasts this long and I'll just get over it. Okay, if that's how you feel and that's how you're coping with it, but talking to someone, having someone help you through it, having someone talk you through your sad time isn't a bad thing either.
And one thing that Taylar said, it's okay to feel that way. Like,
Yeah, right.
It's totally normal. And I think acknowledging what's coming, and it may not be, it doesn't always have to be a huge thing that happened, right? It could just be like, I'm a really active person and I can't be as active when it's darker quicker. And so it kind of bums you out, I guess, more so than it being a huge like sadness, even though that can be the case as well. And Erica, you posted on your social media recently something like, if you're in a funk, like what gets you out of that?
Yeah.
And I loved reading people's responses, and I responded and I said that I love to go on walks and listen to praise and worship music, and it always pulls me out of the mood.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm in at the time. It's just a practical way. What
That's
are some
good.
other practical ways?
I'll say this, just because all of us are parents, I know, because it is Christmas time, I'll just kind of go with buying Christmas presents. I think we put so much pressure on ourselves as parents to, want to get our kids everything that they can possibly have. And their friends got all these gifts, so we want to make sure they, have the same things. And I had a friend that I used to teach with, and she decided when her girls were little that because Jesus only got 3 gifts, her and her husband only gave their girls 3 gifts. Now, if like grandparents and everybody else wanted to give them things, fine. But from her and her husband, they only got 3 things, and that kept it so easy and so simple. Their kids woke up on Christmas morning knowing every year we get 3 things. Now, it might be 3 big things, it might be 3 small things, but I think for practical reasons, being okay with not falling into the trap of, I got to do the elf on the shelf. I got to do all the other things, because it can kind of stress you out sometimes. I forgot to move the elf, forgot to do this. But those are not things we have to do. So I think, like you said, going for walks, those are great things, but also just taking some of the pressure off yourself and knowing that it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, our kids are going to be okay. I'm telling myself this too, because I still have not gone Christmas shopping. But, see? But I think a lot of it are just things that we have made ourselves think we have to do around this time of year when really we don't have to.
Because let's be honest, social media is not real life.
No.
And these amazingly curated elf on the shelf ideas that some parents are doing, that's amazing. I'm so proud of them. But that's not.
It's super
stressful.
stressful.
Me,
Yeah,
right?
I can't. And I wanted to tell. I posted something else on our my Facebook page this week, and I just want to let our listeners know. So it says this December, it's okay. So it falls along with what Taylar's saying about how it is okay to do. So this December, it's okay to ask for help, to say no, to not always be cheery, because a lot of people feel as though this is that time of year, and some people don't feel that way. It's okay to spend time alone. It's okay not to be picture perfect, and it's okay to take a break.
Yes.
Those are the things personally that when I work with clients during this time of year, that they feel it's not okay to not be the cheery person or the picture perfect who's doing elves on the shelves or at all the holiday parties or taking, the most wonderful Santa picture or whatever it may be. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay not to do all those things.
I think that should be the theme of this. Like, it's okay
It is
to
okay.
do what works for you.
Because
for
I
your
have
family.
not sent a family Christmas card to anybody
Me either, girl.
since my youngest was a year old and he's 6. It's
I
been
sup-
5 years.
I
That's
support
terrible.
And that's okay.
I support that. That is
And that's
okay.
I mean, we got Facebook. They see the children enough.
But
you know what I'm
that
saying?
takes something off your plate that
Yes.
would
Yes,
it
ordinarily
does.
cause stress to you. And so that's what we're talking about. That
That's
I
it.
think you've given some great tips here on really making sure that you know it's okay
It's
to not feel
okay.
okay all the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Yes.
And to take those things off your plate that you can to make it
That's it.
manageable for
Yeah.
us, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Take it off. Scrape your plate off.
All right, let's write some things down that we can take off our plates after this podcast is over. Don't you
Okay.
think that's a good idea?
Oh, it'll be a
Sarah?
lot. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it. All right, thank you so much, girls.
Thank you, Nicole.
You have been listening to the Sweet Success Podcast with licensed therapist Erica Wilson and certified life coach Taylar Posey. If you have questions or topics you'd like to have addressed on an upcoming podcast, please message Erica on Facebook at the Olive Branch Counseling Center or Taylar on Facebook at 4031 Life Coaching and Consulting. Spell out 4031. For more information on Erica Wilson and all that she offers, visit theolivebranchcounselingcenter.com. And for more information about Taylar Posey and her services, visit 4031.org. Spell out 4031. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to our next time together. Please subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform.
This podcast is produced by yourpodcastnow.com. Let us produce a podcast for you.